Okay, let's talk about life insurance. You know, it's one of those things that always seems to end up at the bottom of the to-do list, right? Something you file under, I'll get to it someday. But what if that someday is actually costing you real, cold, hard cash right now? Today, we're going to dig into the high price of waiting. And trust me, the numbers we're about to see might just blow you away.
I mean, think about it. It seems like such a small thing, right? Just another candle on the cake. But in the world of life insurance, a single birthday can have a massive financial impact. So let's get right to it. How much are we really talking about here?
Well, the answer is pretty staggering. On average, your potential premium, what you'd pay, jumps by a whopping 8 to 10%. And that's not just once, that's for every single year you put it off. It's a cost that just keeps stacking up with every birthday that passes.
So what's behind that big jump? Why does one birthday matter so much? Let's get right into it, because we're about to break down exactly why your age is the absolute #1 thing insurers look at when they decide what you're going to pay.
At the end of the day, it really just boils down to some pretty simple math. Insurance companies use these things called actuarial tables, which are basically just fancy statistical models of how long people are expected to live. And you know, every birthday brings you 1 year closer to that number, which in their eyes makes you a slightly higher risk to insure. It's as simple as that.
All right, so let's pull back the curtain a little bit and see how this all really works. I mean, at its core, insurance is a business of calculated risk. So when you apply for a policy, the company does this deep dive to figure out, exactly how much of a risk you represent.
And based on that deep dive, they place you into what's called a risk class. You can kind of think of it like a category or a rating. They look at a whole bunch of factors and then assign you to a specific group. If you land in a super low risk class, something like Preferred Plus, you're going to get the absolute best rates. But if you're in a higher risk class, well, you're going to pay more.
So what exactly are they looking at? Well, it's basically a whole profile of your life. They look at your overall health and weight, your gender. Fun fact, women often pay less because they tend to live longer. Whether you smoke, your family's medical history, even your job and your hobbies. I mean, if you're a professional skydiver, that's going to factor in. But look what's sitting right there at the top of the list. Age. That is the starting point for literally everything else.
Now, real quick, it's worth pointing out that there are two main types of life insurance. You've got term life, which is usually more affordable and just covers you for a set period of time, say 20 years. And then there's permanent life, which lasts your entire life and has this cash value component. But here's the crucial thing to remember. For both of them, age is still the most important piece of the puzzle when they set your price.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get to the how much. And this is where the cost of waiting gets really real. We're about to look at some hard numbers that I'm warning you might be a little shocking.
Take a look at this. The key thing to see here isn't just that the cost goes up. That's kind of obvious. It's how fast it starts to accelerate. So for a healthy guy buying a $500,000 policy, look at the jump from age 25 to 35. It's only about $2 a month. No big deal, right? But now look at the jump from 45 to 55. Wow, the premium more than doubles. It jumps by over $60 a month. That right there is the cost of waiting in action.
And this quote just drives that point home. It shows how the price hikes aren't a straight line. They curve up sharply. So in your 40s, you're looking at about a 5 to 8% increase every year. But once you hit your 50s, it skyrockets to 9 to 12% every single year. That's a huge jump.
Okay, forget the monthly payment for a second. This is the slide that tells the whole story. This is the total you'd pay over the full 20 years. So a 25-year-old pays a little under $6,500 total. Not bad. But if that same person waits until they're 45, the total cost more than doubles. And at 55, it's over $36,000 for the exact same coverage. That is a nearly $30,000 penalty just for waiting. Ouch. But you know what? It's not even just about the money. As big a deal as that is, waiting introduces another and honestly even bigger risk, the very real possibility that you might not be able to get coverage at all. Yeah, the simple truth is, the older you get, the more hurdles you have to clear. The path to getting approved gets way tougher. The insurance company's whole process, what they call underwriting, just becomes a lot more strict. They demand more and more proof that you're a safe bet.
And you can actually see how these hurdles start to stack up over time. So maybe before you're 45, a standard medical exam with some blood and urine samples is all you need. But the day you turn 45, bam! A lot of insurers now add a resting EKG to the list. And as you get older still, They might even require a cognitive evaluation, basically to check for mental decline. Each one of these is another potential roadblock that could stop you from getting coverage.
And believe me, these roadblocks are very real. The longer you wait, the greater the chance that you develop some health condition that either sends your rates through the roof or just gets you denied completely. And there are hard limits too. For instance, most companies simply will not offer you a 20-year term policy once you're over 70. That window of opportunity, it really doesn't stay open forever.
Okay, so we've seen the costs, we've seen the risks of waiting. It sounds a little doom and gloom, I know. But here comes the good news. Because knowing all of this actually gives you a huge advantage. There's a really simple strategy you can use to turn all of this in your favor.
And here it is. This is the most powerful tool you have. With term life insurance, you get to lock in your premium. That means the rate you get today stays exactly the same for the entire term, whether that's 10, 20, or even 30 years. It doesn't go up. By acting now, you're basically freezing your rate in time, protecting yourself from all those future price hikes we just talked about.
So let's wrap this up with the key things you need to remember. First, and this is the big one, buying younger is always, always cheaper. Second, take a minute to figure out exactly what you need. Are you protecting your kids, your mortgage, your future plans? Third, try to act before your next birthday, because as we've seen, every single year makes a difference. And last but not least, don't just take the first offer. Shop around and get a few different quotes to find the best deal for you.
And that really brings us to the final thought. Statistically speaking, for pretty much every single one of us right now, today is the youngest and healthiest we will ever be again. So when you know that, and you know the very clear financial cost of waiting, well, the only real question left is the one right there on your screen. What's your next move?